Hi guys, I hope you're well. I decided to film outside today just because it's such a glorious day, so hopefully this all turns out okay and you can actually hear me. It was my 1 year YouTube anniversary a few days ago, so I decided to make a video just kind of celebrating it and talking about my experiences so far. One of the things that made me hesitant to start a YouTube channel in the first place was that it feels a little bit narcissistic just talking to a camera and expecting you to sit and watch me for 10 minutes or so. And this is probably going to be one of the more narcissistic videos that I make because it's not even about books, it's mostly about me. So I can understand if that's not particularly interesting to a lot of you, so you definitely don't have to watch. Firstly, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's watched my videos or has commented or subscribed. Obviously, I do make them primarily for my own enjoyment, but of course I don't think I would be here if it wasn't for the really engaging conversations and discussions that I've had with all of you over the last year. My experiences with this community so far have been overwhelmingly positive. Everyone has been so kind and friendly and welcoming. I feel like it's one of the nicest spaces on YouTube to be part of, and I really am so glad that I decided to join a year ago. I started this channel a year ago, just at the end of my undergraduate degree, and I studied English, so I was used to sort of analysing and discussing books at length, and I knew that I would miss that once I'd finished, so I wanted a place to kind of continue that discussion with other like-minded people. It's given me exactly what I had hoped for, an opportunity to talk with people who enjoy the same types of books as me and have some really great chats. I also made this channel for more general reasons, in that I knew that I was coming to the end of my university career and I wanted something that I felt like I was completely in control of. I was leaving education for the first time in my life, and I felt like so many elements of my life had changed very suddenly, so I didn't necessarily have much direction or know what I wanted to do next. So I felt like I needed something that I could be entirely responsible for and that was completely my own. And although making videos about books isn't exactly the most taxing thing in the world, I am quite proud of the fact that I've managed to maintain consistency with uploading just about one video a week over the last year. And it's been during times where I've been really busy or quite stressed about things, but it's always been a kind of constant in my life, and I've really appreciated having that. I wanted to talk a bit about how booktube has affected my reading habits, and I think the biggest one is just that I read so much more now than I ever have in my life. I have always really enjoyed reading, but I was pretty pleased if I could get to 1 or 2 books a month. I thought that was quite a lot, and so when I started watching booktube videos and people were saying they were reading 10, 12 or 15 books in a month, I was absolutely astounded. I watch lots of other people's videos and I discover so many books that I want to read through them, and I also get to find out about interesting prizes. Like, I was closely following the Women's Prize this year and the Man Booker Prize last year in a way that I really hadn't up to this point in my life. And I also just find new publishers and new authors. It just really expanded my understanding of the bookish world and publishing in general. I feel very connected to the whole book community now, and because I want to pursue a career in publishing, it's invaluable, I suppose, to understand what's going on in publishing, but this makes it a really fun way to do that. I never feel like I'm sitting down and learning, but when I think of the knowledge I've gained, it's huge. I've read books that I probably wouldn't have if I hadn't come into this community, especially through some prizes, that there's books that have been nominated or shortlisted that are ones that I wouldn't have chosen, but some that I've actually really enjoyed. So in that way, making these videos has really expanded my bookish horizons, I suppose you could say. But also, I've learned to understand what books I specifically like a lot more, so that now when I choose a book, I'm almost always kind of guaranteed to enjoy it. I think this does link in with the only negative I've experienced so far from making these videos, and it's something that's completely internal rather than from the actual community, and it's that I sometimes pressure myself into reading specific books or just reading more than I would normally, and for the most part it's really not a bad thing, but I do find myself tailoring what I read to what I think are the expectations of the community or people who watch my videos. I feel like the books that I talk about on this channel need to be relevant, and that usually means they need to be quite recently published. And there are so many books that are really not recently published at all that I really want to read but have been kind of putting off over the last year. I think it's easy to compare yourself to other people when you see that they've read 10 books that last month and you've only read 5. And if you compare this kind of volume to the average person who says they enjoy reading, it's massively inflated, and I think it's easy to kind of get caught in this bubble where you think that reading that much is kind of the average, whereas it's really not. And I think that's something I need to remind myself of, that if I read 5 books in a month, that's still pretty good going. So I think that moving forward, I suppose there are a few changes that I want to make in my personal reading habits. I definitely felt like in the last couple of months my reading has been quite prescriptive with the prizes that I was following and specific recommendations that I felt like I maybe ought to read rather than ones that I specifically wanted to. So I want to try and make myself better at just reading what I want. I have so many books on my shelves that I've not read, but I'm struggling to figure out a way to incorporate them into videos, but I don't need to make a video about every book that I read. I don't need to talk about everything that I read. I think when making videos there's a difficulty between balancing books that I am really interested in or passionate about and books that I think people will want to actually see in a video, because I never want to be a channel that is just making videos that I think people will want to watch, because I don't think people will watch if it's clear that I'm not that passionate about the books I'm talking about. But I still don't want to be making these videos just about very niche books that no one else has any interest in. So I think that's what I kind of want to do moving forward, is try and strike that balance better and read some of the books that I have on my shelves that have been lying there for ages but I don't feel like would make interesting videos, because actually I'm sure some of them really would. I also want to start making slightly more ambitious videos. I really like making recommendations where I compile a selection, sort of 5 to 10 books of a category, and they're videos that take a lot longer to kind of plan and film because I've got to make sure I've read enough books within a category. But what I would quite like to do is read a selection of books from specific countries and make a series of videos sort of dedicated to each country. I have one already kind of waiting to be filmed about Icelandic books, or at least books set in Iceland, and this is something that I would really love to watch, so I suppose it's something that I feel like would be really interesting to film. I just realised that someone's cutting grass and it's extremely loud, so I apologise. It's probably a bad idea, but I knew that from the start. And obviously I am interested in hearing what you would like from my channel as I move forward. I try and sort of analyse the books that I read in depth if I do a review, but not all books kind of warrant that kind of analysis, so I do want to try and get that balance right and hear from you about what type of reviews or what type of videos that you'd like to see. Overall, I'm really pleased that I started making these videos a year ago, and I'm really excited to continue doing so. It was the kind of thing that I didn't know if I would continue. I thought it might just be a summer project while I was looking for a job or figuring out my next steps, but it's been something that I've really integrated into my weekly routine, and I look forward to making a video every week. And if I finish a book that I really loved, I'm excited to share it with you, so it's a really lovely feeling. And I would say if you are part of this sort of booktube community but you don't have a channel yourself, it's something that I would really recommend. It is a really positive place to be part of, and it's great to have this sort of discussions with people one-on-one about books. So I think that's all I really wanted to say. I could ramble on, and I feel like I have a little bit, but I hope you enjoyed this video, and again, thank you so much for watching. It really does mean a lot to me, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye bye!